first animal that I'm going to show you how to do is the rabbit or the bunny. Now this is kind of a tricky picture, so I've traced it very lightly with pencil first just to practice. I'll show you how to draw it, but if it is difficult for you, I will post another video next with some easier versions of the drawings. So the first way you're going to make the bunny is by starting with his nose. So since we're doing kind of the bottom of his face, you want to draw this towards the bottom of your paper. So you're just going to draw a circle. That's where his nose and his mouth are going to be, like his snout. Okay. The next part we're going to draw is his head. So to do his head, you're going to start at the bottom of the circle and draw a sideways line that starts to curve up a little bit. And you're going to do the same thing at the other side. At the bottom of that circle, a sideways line that sort of starts to curve up a little bit. All right, the next part is we're going to draw his cheeks. So we're going to draw a curved line that stops at the top of the circle. We're going to start connecting to this line, and you're going to draw a curved line up that stops kind of where the top of the circle is. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to start at this line that we drew, and I'm going to stop a curved line that stops at the top of the circle. All right. The next part we're going to do, if this is tricky and you get frustrated, try it. If it doesn't go so well, check out my other video for the easier version. The next part we're going to do is his head. So we are going to start here, and we are going to go up and around to make his head. The next part I'm going to do is his ears. Okay, a bunny's ears are pretty easy. I'm going to find the top of his head. I'm going to make one ear by going all the way up and out until I like how it looks. Then I'm just going to finish it by going back down. And a bunny's ears don't have to be perfectly round as long as they go out and back down. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to go out and I'm going to go back down. All right, now your bunny has two ears. We're going to make lines to show the parts of his face. So I'm going to go a little bit below where this ear is, and I'm going to draw a line that goes from here to the top of his nose. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to find the bottom of his ear, and I'm going to go from here to the top of his nose. Now I have an idea because a bunny's eyes are on the side. A rabbit is a prey animal, not a predator. So rabbits have eyes on the side of their face so they can see if an animal is sneaking up on them. These lines are going to help us to show that he has eyes on the side. So for one of his eyes, it's basically just an oval shape in this space. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, an oval shape. To make your rabbit's nose and mouth, it's going to be inside the circle. We're going to make a little smiley face, a squashed letter U, and then I'm going to make the letter J and a backwards letter J. To finish up our rabbit, I'm going to draw two lines down from his head to make the top of his body, and then to make your rabbit's eyes, if you want to color them in with the marker, I'm going to make a circle, but I'm not going to color that in. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and I'm going to color in everything that's not that little circle. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to color in everything that's not that little circle. The next thing we're going to be doing is adding some fur for our rabbit. This is going to show texture. Okay? Texture is just a way to show how something feels. If it is soft, if it is sharp, it kind of makes a picture look more 3D. So to do texture for our rabbit, I'm going to add a bunch of little lines with my marker all over the picture to make it look like he has fur. The first fur that I'm going to make is around his eyes. So to make the fur around his eyes, you're gonna make them kind of look like a sunshine and just do little lines all the way around his eyes. This is going to be the fur that goes around his eyes. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. A bunch of little lines to be fur around his eyes. All right, the next part of adding fur to your rabbit, I'm gonna do his ears, okay? To make fur across his ears, you're gonna do the same little lines all over this bunny, but you're going to kind of make stripes of all those little lines. So I'm gonna start on one ear, and I'm just gonna make a bunch of little lines, a bunch of stripes. I'm gonna do the same thing and make another row of little stripes. And I'm gonna do the same process all the way up both of my bunny's ears. All right, so I've made my texture or my fur for my rabbit's ears. The next part I'm gonna do those same lines in is this part right in the middle. I'm going section by section so that it's not as hard for me. So I'm gonna make a row going from one side of the nose to the other, and I'm going to keep going with more rows all the way up to the top of his head. All right, so now that I've done the middle part of the bunny's head, I'm going to do the side of his face. I'm going to do the same type of thing, but I'm not going to draw those up and down lines around his eyes. Right around his eyes, I'm actually going to make those lines a little bit longer. We're not gonna do the up and down lines around his eyes. We're just going to leave them like this because his eyes are round and I don't want to make his eyes look like they are square. So I'm going to make those lines a little longer. Now I'm going to come in with my marker and do the rest of this side of the face with my rows, just like I did the other parts of the rabbit. So I'm going to make a row like this, and notice when my lines curve, I make the lines a little bit shorter to finish the row all the way. I'm gonna go down this way, the same as I've been doing for the rest of the rabbit. When it curves, my line just gets a little shorter, that's all. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side of my bunny. Oh my gosh, guys, this is starting to look so cool. I didn't think it would turn out this well. All right, the last part, or the second to last part I'm gonna do is his nose. Now the mouth and the nose are different from the rest of the face and kind of similar to the eyes. So we are going to make kind of a circle of lines starting around his nose. So I'm gonna start here and kind of like when you're making sort of like a sunshine shape. I'm gonna go around his mouth like this, and I'm going to make lines. So kind of like sunshine rays around his nose, okay? And then in the middle of his nose and his mouth, I'm gonna do one row of up and down lines, and then some more that go out like this, diagonal, okay? I'm gonna finish the circle by making some more of those. I am so sorry, you guys. My phone ran out of storage space at the very end of that last video and I didn't realize that it cut off. So if you didn't get a chance to see it, I finished making those little lines around his mouth like this, and I finished his body off by making just rows of those little lines again to finish the fur all over this rabbit's head and neck. So that's how you do the rabbit. I will show you how to do the bear next. The next animal I'm going to show you how to draw, and remember this is the advanced version, is a bear cub. So we're going to start by making his head. His head's kind of like an oval shape, except it's going to get a little skinnier at the bottom. So I'm going to start at the top and come down. And come down again. Make that a little rounder. There we go. Next part I'm going to do is his ears. So I'm going to make an ear on one side and an ear on the other side. I'm gonna do his snout next. His snout is basically just starting where you think his chin would start, and we're gonna make sort of a circle shape. So we have an oval here. Next thing I'm gonna do is draw his nose, which is kind of like a heart shape. And his mouth, so 2 lines down. Next I'm going to do his eyes. So I'm going to draw a circle on one side and a circle on the other side. Then I'm going to draw a smaller circle inside and an even smaller circle inside of that. And same on this side. I'm going to color in the middle circle, but I'm not going to color in the tiny circle. Feel free to pause this video wherever you need to as well. I'm going to add 2 lines just to kind of show that his eyes are on the side of his head again. So I'm going to start at the bottom of the ear, and I'm going to draw a curved line that goes to the top of his nose. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, bottom of the ear, and the curved line is going to go to the top of his nose. I'm going to finish up drawing my bear's body by drawing 2 lines down from the sides of his head. So the exact same way that we did all of the lines on the rabbit to show texture, to show the fur, we're going to do the same thing on the bear cub. So I'm going to start with the ears, and it's just like it was before, a bunch of straight lines going up and down, but we're making rows of those straight lines. I'm going to finish his other ear, and then I'll show you the next step. Next, I'm going to draw those straight lines down the middle section. So I'm not going to do it over here on the other side of these lines yet. I'm just going to do the center section of his face. Next, I'm going to do the side sections of his head, so over here and over here. So I'm going to do the exact same thing, and the only place I'm not going to put these little lines is around those big circles where we made his eyes. So I'm going to stop the lines and continue them on the other side. Next, I'm going to do his snout. So I'm going to draw a few lines here underneath his mouth. And this part's a little bit tricky. I'm going to pretend there's an imaginary bubble around his nose, and I'm going to make those same circular lines, kind of like we talked about the sunshine for the rabbit's snout. And I'm going to go around the bear's nose, but I'm not going to touch his nose. And I'm going to finish by making more lines of those little sunshine ray patterns. And I'm going to finish also by coloring his nose all the way in. The very last part of our bear cub is going to be filling in his body with the same rows of lines that we've done for the rest of this picture. The very last step to this is going to be cutting out your bear or the rabbit. I didn't show myself cutting out the rabbit before, but the very last step of either animal you chose to do is to cut it out so that we can glue or tape it onto the flowers that we made last week. Alright, so I've cut my bear out, and the last thing that you can do is to glue whatever animal you made, or tape or staple, whatever you have at home to attach, and put your animal onto your flower background that we made last week. So I've got my bear, I've got my bunny. Please keep in mind this is the advanced version of the video, so if drawing either of these animals gave you a hard time, check out the next video in my series for some easier options for drawing spring animals.